Right, let's touch upon the first concept that I want to teach you about OOP, which is encapsulation. So what encapsulation really means, it simply means that the data of your classes, right, they should be hidden from the outside world and only be accessible through its own methods. So right here, we've actually used encapsulation without you knowing. And let me actually deconstruct this class right here. So the iPhone class, and show you exactly what encapsulation is. So right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to remove these methods right here. So the getters and setters, I'm going to remove all of these methods here, just like that. And let me scroll up right here. I'm going to remove this keyword. So this keyword is very important. So let me just simply remove it. And I'm going to put it back in a second, but I want to show you the actual problem. So right here, I said that the data, right? So this is the actual data inside of this class, right? So the data should only be accessible through the methods of this class. So right here, if I open up the main class and let me simply say new and then iPhone, and right here, let me simply say that the model will be iPhone 7 and the price will be 200 or 290. It doesn't really matter. And then let's simply say false, right? So now we have this iPhone right here. So if you, oops, let me just put this just like this. And this is much better so you can see everything. So now the problem here that we have is now I can go ahead and simply say south, right? So let me simply say south and I want to say iPhone and then dot. And now check this out. You can see that I can access the data without going through the methods that allow me to access the data. So here I've got direct access to the price, the model, and is water resistant. So I've got full control now of the actual data, right? So here I could even say, for example, iPhone dot and then price equals to, and then let's say 0, right? So I'm actually accessing the internals, right? The actual data directly instead of going through the methods available to us within that class. So encapsulation simply says, in order for you to access the data inside, you should go through its methods. So here, the first thing that we need to do to make sure that this data is private, right, is not accessible from the outside world, we simply say that this will be private. The same with the price, and the same with is water resistant. So if I go back to main now, check this out. We have now errors, right? So we're not accessing directly the data. So what we have to do is go through the methods available to access the data. So if I go back to iPhone class, and this is why we have these getters and setters. So here, let me simply use IntelliJ. So I'm going to press Control and then Enter, and then getter and setter. And then I'm going to select all of those. And then there you have it. So now these are the methods that we have, right? So these methods, right, they allows us to get access to the price, set the price, the same for the other variables. But the cool thing here now is that we can have full control of how we let the client, right, or anyone which is using this class, of how they access the data, right? So this is very simple, but you could have lots of logic saying, in order for you to set the price, for example, here, so set the price, you could say if, and then the price is less then 0, right? You simply say that this is illegal. So let me simply throw new and then illegal and then argument exception. And here you're going to learn about exceptions later, but here is an example, right? So this is actually a check that I'm doing because there's no point of you setting a price below 0, right? A negative price. It doesn't really make sense, right? But let me just remove this for now. So this is just for illustration purposes. So if I go back to main.java right here, now in order for me to actually set the price, right, to 0, I can simply say set and then price, and here I can pass the actual value. So if I were to pass -1 and if I kept my logic, then this would throw an error, right? But I remove the logic, but you get the point. So here, now let me simply say that this, now the price is like 900, and then the way that you get is water resistant. You say get or actually is, and then water resistant, and right here let's simply rename this to get and then is water resistant, just like that. And finally we have the actual model, so south and then iPhone dot get model, and let's do the same for price, so get and then price, right? So this is encapsulation, and it's a very important concept that you should grasp, and in your classes you should always hide the data, right? Never have, for example, public or no modifier here. So you've learned about modifiers. So in your classes, the actual data should always be private. If you have any questions on encapsulation, please let me know. Otherwise, let's move on.